Hi. 1 second.
How you doing?
I am amazing as
All
always.
right.
Oh, you are handsome. That's good to know. So let me tell you, right, sir? Hi, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm doing wonderful.
Do
How you
you
doing?
do you know how stressful this is? I'm just letting you know because when it's you,
Why?
well,
Why is it stressful?
I'm going to tell you because in your mind, right? I'm speaking for other people also that's not going to tell you this. You're starting to think, what can I say that will sound really smart? How can I look intelligent? What should I wear? Should is boogers in my nose? Do I smell fine even if you can't smell me? So you're thinking of a bunch of stuff to say and how to impress you, and should I read the book? Which chapter should I quote to look like I know stuff? But then I decided that was too much work and I just like being me. So now.
Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you. I
Hmm.
yeah, I know. Yeah, see my haircut on the side. Cool, right?
Look at that. Yeah, I like your haircut.
Thank you.
That's low maintenance.
I know, and it's yes, cheap and no stress. All the weave and stuff makes no sense. I did try calling you, but your phone was off. So that was my attempt.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Okay.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't want to talk anything about business. We're talking about your relationship because it's a relationship focused show. And before I talk about the show, what I wanted to mention was like when I asked you the question about the finance thing, because with J.R. Fenwick, for instance, when he came on and he started talking about stocks, I have I be all over the place, right? So one of the things was, just so you know, because of your podcast, it costs me a lot of money because every time someone comes on, half the time I purchase something, which is very bad financially. So J.R. Fenwick thing, I liked him. So far, out of the 20-something people, I think I only liked five. Nothing wrong with the rest of them. But then I spent like $2,000 because of you. So you owe me like $2,800, okay? So I
Okay.
started doing the stock thing. And then when I saw the other guy, that's what I said. It's kind of confusing sometimes, and that's why I asked you the question. And then you send me the paper that I read over and over, and then I watched the 6 minutes video. And in all honesty, I barely understood anything. I just understood the basic. Is somewhat like MLM, so forth and so on. And this is the simple question I have. I don't have any fancy, exciting questions. If I was to participate and I get three people, do I really have to start to learn a bunch of stuff about it? Or can I just breathe and relax and just be at
Oh
least
no,
in?
yeah. You don't. You don't. It's entirely a choice, and you got to do what's right for you, what's comfortable for you. You know, not everything is for everybody, but there's something for everybody. But if you're building something for everybody, it's for nobody. So I know that sounds like a conundrum wrapped up in an enigma, but that's the truth. There is something for everybody,
Okay.
right? But not everything is for everybody, right?
Right.
And we know if you're trying to please everybody, you're going to please nobody.
Oh, that's a lot of. Thank God this is being recorded. I'll have to listen to
We could
this a few
spend a
times.
whole hour unpacking that.
I see that. Okay, because with anything, sometimes you don't. Same thing like your letter started with like you miss opportunities, and now you look back and like how many people told you yes, jump in, and then you're like no. So that these are one of the things that you're like, should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe I should. I just the only good thing it's not that much money to jump in. So that's one of the good things about it.
Yeah, well, you're making an investment in something. An investment is something you expect a return on. You'll get a return on that investment, but you'd have to do it in your time, right? And
Right.
you can't learn all of these things at one time. First things first, second things never. Do the first thing with excellence, and then the second thing becomes the first thing.
Okay. Lord have mercy. Thank you so much. I have to write all these things down, okay? I don't have enough
I hope
ink.
that clarifies it for you.
But okay, I just wanted to simple. That's awesome.
Now, where are you? Are you in your studio? You're
No,
home?
I'm home. I just make everything extra. If you do something, you have to do it 120. Otherwise, it makes no sense doing it. So yes, I make everything look amazing. Are you jealous?
Yes. No. I'm at home. I'm at home. But jealousy is a good thing, right? Jealousy is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I see you laugh a lot. You smile a lot. You have a pretty smile.
Thank
That's
you.
a good thing. Right? And you don't take yourself too seriously. That's a good thing too, right?
Good.
Right,
Two compliments in less than a minute. I feel extra special.
You have the ability to laugh at yourself. That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
It says something about your humility.
It does. What exactly does it say? Wait, let me just.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you are an extrovert, but you're really an introvert.
Yes. Well, my personality. What is it? ENFJ, I think. That I just naturally remember that.
Now, typically, what kind of guests do you have?
So it's different kinds of guests. It's whatever. Sometimes I have conversation with people and I like their personality, but it's relationship focused. So it's the show is like a 30-minute talk show, and for the first 5 minutes, I normally have comedians on or entertainers, but I try to focus towards comedians because I believe anytime you make people laugh, everything else is easier to digest. So
that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Thank you. And the next I like this.
Are you? You're out of New York?
Yeah. So I live in Queens, and like the studio that I record in is in the Bronx.
Right.
Okay.
We're in Queens.
I live like Queens Village. It's not too far from Long Island, like Jamaica. Jamaica, close. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Queens. I lived probably 7 years, 8 years in St. Albans.
Oh, really? See, that's like 5 minutes away, if so much. Okay, because I know you said you were from Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn?
Yes, but I spent some time in St. Albans. I'm from Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, New York. That's where I was born.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Bed-Stuy. You've heard of Bed-Stuy. How long have you been in America?
20 years.
From where?
Trinidad. What? My perfect accent? Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, all right. My father is from Guyana.
Oh, for real? That is cool. You been to Guyana or no?
Yeah. Hmm?
You been to Guyana or you haven't been to Guyana? Have you ever been? Oh, really?
And Trinidad.
We let you in the country?
Yeah, I had to pass an alcoholics exam.
Really? Because I know, like back in the day, they always said in order for like Guyanese to get their visa, they used to have to come to Trinidad a lot of the times before they go to Guyana, they land in Trinidad and then they cross over.
Yeah. So you've been to Guyana?
No, thank you.
No. Have you gone back to Trinidad?
Yeah, I go pretty often, even if I don't want to go with someone. I always choose to die or someone choose to get married, either or.
Yeah. Death or marriage. This is sort of the story of our lives around our family, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much when we gather.
Yeah, but most of my family is in Trinidad, so, and I have like eight brothers and sisters.
Your mom and dad still alive?
Yeah, my dad lives in Brooklyn. My mom lives in Texas, and she was supposed to retire and go home in March, but because of the whole stuff, she ended up she's still here in Texas.
They're separated.
Oh yeah, a long time ago. Thank God. That was the worst union ever. But it was.
Are you married?
No, thank you. Do you know someone?
No.
Oh, so what is the purpose of this conversation?
Do you have any children?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No.
You know someone too?
So not married.
No, but you know what's funny? That's the reason I started the show, because I was frustrated about the whole relationship stuff, and it was like I started it like 2 years ago, but it was out of anger. So instead of being angry, it was easier to laugh at everything. So I make everything into comedy. And the cool thing about the show, a lot of stuff I talk about is the truth, but people just think I'm joking, but they don't have to know that.
Have you ever thought about going into comedy?
I have, I have did an off the Broadway show in a show called Frustrated. But first of all, I won like a Toastmaster competition. It's for humorous speech in all of New York, and it was called Steve Harvey Can't Find Me a Husband, right? And after I won that competition, I made it into like a 45 minutes play, and I did it off Broadway, like 2 sold out shows, and then I did that into this TV show. So basically each year from like 2016 up until now, I just keep doing something bigger. And like last year I did a comedic tour, like 2 weekends with these comedians from Trinidad and Jamaica. So I just need.
I think you have comedy in your future.
I do.
But you look. Let me see. You look about 30.
Yes, I think so also. I agree. I agree.
You have a very young face.
Thank you. I got it from my daddy.
That's a gift, right? You're probably going to look like that when you're 75.
Oh, see, that's why you look this hot at 75. Because I noticed everyone comments on that. Black don't crack.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't. Right? You have beautiful skin, so you're going to be fine. And just take your time. There's no rush to marriage. In fact, marriage isn't for everybody.
That's true. But it was for you. It worked for you for 47 years, right?
47.
47. How many kids do you have?
Well,
2?
2 sons.
2 sons?
Yeah, one is in Atlanta, one is in Vegas. And, they both have children, wives.
Oh, great.
And
you have grandkids?
Right.
You have grandkids?
You have
how many grandkids do you have?
3.
Girls or boys? Or both?
All girls.
All girls. Well, you can't help me whatsoever in the dating field.
This is true. No question.
Well, you know what I was wondering with the Power Networking Conference, the ratio between men. Huh? Oh no, not yet. Not yet. The Power Networking Conference, right? Is that mostly men that attend? Like, what is the ratio?
Say it again.
The ratio between male and female who attend the Power Networking Conference.
Oh, it's 60%. It's always these conferences with Black folks. It's always 60% women.
Oh man, that's too much competition. Okay.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
Yeah, but if
you have
no competition.
You have there is no competition for you. There is no one on earth like you.
That is true.
You are totally unique, right? And so no one can compete with you. So for the right person that likes you and your uniqueness, you have no competition.
That is true. Well said.
True. No one could ever be you. Right?
Thank you.
Nor should they try. And your job is to be you. And then someone will be attracted to you. The minute you try to change into someone else or something that you're not, that's when you're going to have problems.
Okay, I'll remember
be
that.
You. Do you.
Yeah, that's what they say.
As Ray Charles would say, let it do what it do.
Baby. Okay. Well, thank you. Right. You're nicer than I thought you would be. I say you're nicer than I thought you would be.
Yeah, you don't do what I've done and not be nice. I mean, right?
Maybe sometimes, some people get to a certain level.
Did you see my little sizzle reel?
Huh?
Did you see my little sizzle reel that I sent you?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't see a sizzle reel attached to anything. Are you sure you sent it? I would have definitely watched it.
Yeah, it says sizzle reel, my sizzle reel. I didn't send that to you?
No, I'm very sure you didn't send it to me.
Wow, okay. I don't know what the hell happened. I thought I sent you. Well, my apologies.
That must be the next Patrice.
I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay. All right. So let me introduce you to my psychic.
So who is this? Is your co-host?
This is my psychic with the timing.
Evening, Mr. Fraser.
We make a cute couple, but he comes with a wife and 5 kids.
Only 5. Only 5.
My God, we're gonna pray for you.
I need all the prayer you can do.
Oh my God. Oh, that's a beautiful thing, though. God bless you.
He did.
What's the age range?
16, 15, 12, 5, and 4.
Oh my.
You sound like your was unsure.
Well, how many men? How many women?
My 2 eldest are girls, and then my 3 youngest are boys.
Wow.
Oh, let me see. You could see the photo.
There you go. Save your money.
So you could see it.
Save your money, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got marriages and you got college.
Yes, I'm definitely investing and learning at the same time because it's a lot. It's a lot, but we've been blessed thus far.
You like what?
Now, where's your wife from?
Her background is Jamaica. So Jamaican.
Now, you know what they call Jamaicans? The Black Jews.
The Black Jews? Because of wealth?
No, because of their deep focus on education and money.
You know what?
They're very good with money.
She definitely has a taste for money.
Their focus on education and their focus on money.
Look at that. My wife would love you.
Black Jews. Huh?
I'm going to tell my wife she's a black Jew.
But also because of their focus on tribalism. They're very tribal. Jamaicans are about Jamaicans.
Yes,
right?
They are.
The Jews are about Jews. It is the Jew first. It is Jamaican first.
Very true.
So you got. How long have you been married?
18 years. Well, we've been together 18 years. Married maybe 12.
You look young too. 18 years.
Yeah, I'm 35.
As a kid.
Yeah. We met in high school my senior year, and we thought it was just going to be a fling. And the next thing, after my first year of college, we had our first child. Then the next one came out, so it was like, all right, have fun or be responsible. And since then, we just, life just kind of lined us up to kind of go through the hardships together. And we're here.
Wow. That's quite a story. Are you going to write a book?
I am. I'm definitely going to write a book. I've been public speaking a little bit, and I use my family and my experiences a lot in my speeches.
Are you journaling? Are you journaling now?
Yes, I do journal now.
Writing stories, life stories, incidents, good, bad, ugly, funny. That's how you start a book. You start with writing something every day. Some insight, something unusual, some person or persons, some incident. That's how you write books, right? And you journal, and before you know it, you'll have more stories, because you're not going to remember all of these things. The mind does not record everything. You'd go crazy if your mind recorded everything. It only records certain things, seminal moments, right? So in order for you not to forget, you got to write them down.
Definitely gonna take some more.
To be a good speaker, for example, you have to be a good writer, right? And if you're a good writer, you could probably be a good speaker, right? Because all speaking requires some thought, and generally speaking, right? You can't totally improvise through life. So you have to read and write. And those two skills provide you leadership skills and skills that you can market. Good writing has a value. It's a marketable skill. Good speaking, same thing.
He actually
But they
came,
don't hand me.
Mr. Oh, so in the Toastmasters, he came third in all of New York. What it was last month?
Yes.
And last month, so he third place in all of Toastmasters district for New York.
International
Oh,
Speech
that's
Contest.
awesome.
I know.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
it's a step. Toastmasters
awesome.
opened that up.
That's a good sign.
Have something.
So that
So
means
how do you
you'll be speaking.
how
on
do
the
you get a
stage.
chance to practice your speaking skills?
Well, pretty much Toastmasters has been the foundation.
Toastmasters is great. It's a great place to start.
So I haven't really, starting with maybe YouTube and podcasts, but I haven't, like Toastmasters has given me the biggest platform to really construct and develop my speaking skills and, just using that to see where it takes me. But now it's just about growing and networking and seeing what other opportunities might arise.
Now, there's a real simple way to learn how to be a great speaker. You want to know what that is?
What?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm like, yes.
The answer would be yes. The way to be a great speaker is to speak.
Of course, I'm like,
like what's the
like
tool?
what?
So just speak.
The more you speak, the better you will be. Let me give you an analogy of swimming. You could read every single book you want about swimming and become a technical expert in swimming. But you can't swim until you jump in the water. That's when you'll learn how to swim. So you can read all the books about speaking and the things you can learn by reading. But at the end of the day, to become a great speaker, you have to speak. And you have to speak where any two people gather and are ready, willing, and able to hear you speak. And all you're really doing is practicing on that. You're looking to practice. Why do you think they call a physician, a lawyer, an accountant practices? They're so difficult. There's so many, so much information needed to be an expert in medicine, law, accountancy, that they don't open businesses. They open what? Practices. Right? What does that mean? They're practicing on you.
So we're test
They're
subjects.
practicing, right? So the same thing with the speaker. You have to practice. It's an art and a science. And once you accept it as an art and a science, because as I was telling Miss Francois, she doesn't ever have to worry about competition because there's nobody like her on earth. God made sure of that, right? She is as unique as her thumbprint, right? So there's somebody in the world that will like all of that, right? And as I said to her, in the minute you don't do you and you try to do someone else, the person that fell in love with you will fall out of love with you. Because what he fell in love with was you. Right? So there's no real competition. And the same for you. So you're gonna have a unique speaking platform, the things that you will talk about because of your experiences that no one else will be able to talk about in the way that you can talk about it, because there will be no one else on earth that has ever lived in the history of humankind that has had the same sequence and timing of experiences and the variations on those experiences that you have had. All of your experiences and the way in which they occurred and the timing in which they occurred are totally unique to you. Now, there will be people that will have had similar experiences, but they will not be the exact experience because they're not you. All right? So that makes you totally unique, and that makes your stories totally unique. You just have to learn how to craft a story. But that's all great speaking is, Ms. Francois can tell you that. Great speaking is simply a performance. It's a good performance. It's no different than a great actor. It's a performance, right? So you learn the performance art of speaking, and then you learn the power of words, the syntax, the storytelling. That's all great speaking is. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, even more value to what I'm doing.
Yeah. Right? So now, guess what? Guess what? I just gave you something to talk about.
Yes.
Right? So you can just take what I just told you, because it was recorded.
Yes.
You know, roll it back and re-listen to it. Right? There's some incredible nuggets in there that apply to everybody that you'll ever stand on stage and be in front of. And what I just told you is true for everybody that you will stand in front of, except most people don't see themselves that way. You are an original. There's no one on earth that has ever been like you. That's a God thing. You're totally original. Right? So leverage that. Capitalize on that. Become a great storyteller. That's all that's about. And be like Miss Francois. Have a sense of humor. And Miss Francois understands that the key is to make people laugh. Now, when you find a way to make people smile, doesn't mean that you don't have content that's serious and very, very substantive. But when you make people smile or laugh, the brain emits dopamine, little squirts of dopamine. And when dopamine is squirted into the body, it makes you feel good. It bonds you to that person, right? So humor, very important. Never take yourself too seriously. Now, it doesn't mean you don't be serious, but you have to have the ability to laugh at yourself. Because you're going to do some stupid things. Let us pray. Right? We all do.
Yes,
you're human.
Do.
You're not perfect. And you got to have the ability you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. So, in fact, you learn more from failure than you do from success. Absolutely. Those are the obstacles in life. My favorite quote outside of the Bible is Marcus Aurelius. And it was Marcus Aurelius who said that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Now you think about that for about a year. Right? And we'll talk about that the next time I'm on the show. Another way, or perhaps a simpler way to say the same thing, is the obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. If the mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it. Unpack that one.
Make sure you steal all these things.
Right? So, what is the first thing God does when He gives you an assignment He feels that you're ready for? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, or under the obstacle so that you can learn the lessons. And when you do, you get an attaboy or you get an attagirl. And then God gives you a new assignment at a slightly higher level. And what's the very next thing He does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And when you look back over your entire life, that is the story of your life. And when you overcome the obstacle, you advance. If you do not overcome the obstacle, that's where you stay until you learn the lessons from that obstacle. Right? When you don't learn the lessons, you've heard this before, you are bound to repeat it. And you'll keep repeating it until you learn the lesson. And that's the story of your life. And welcome to life, because that's the story of everybody's life. right? So we accept that as the price for God putting us here. But he put us here to work. That is our assignment. You can sleep when you're dead. No, you're here to work. Let me say that differently. Everything that you want in life is on the other side of hard. Repeat that. Everything that you want in life is on the other side
hard.
of hard. If it was easy, why would God need you? Not easy. All right? So you're down here because you're on assignment to do something hard. It'll be hard first. Then it'll be easy. But hard comes first. That means that requires studying and a commitment to personal growth and development, lifelong learning, and constant never-ending improvement. For every passage of your life, you get about 8 passages, about 80 years, if you're lucky. Each passage is about 10 years. Let me say that a different way. You are a different person at 10 than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. Let us pray, right? You're a different person at 30 than 20, 40 than 30, 50 than 40, 60 than 50, 70 than 60, and 80 than 70. You're constantly evolving, right? Hopefully in a positive way, and hopefully with your partner. Now that's a whole nother thing. So think about this. When you pick your partner, there's only a 20% chance of you sustaining that over any long period of time. Only a 20% chance. Here's why. Let's say the partner you chose because for whatever reason or reasons, you felt that you were equally yoked, right? You were equally yoked. There was chemistry, there was fit, and the timing was right. So you start out here together. One of 5 things is going to happen. You will outgrow her. She will outgrow you. You will grow in one direction. She'll grow in another direction. Or, hopefully, you will grow together like a twisted ficus tree. That's 1 out of 5. Right? 1 out of 5. So the odds of staying together over a sustained period of time is about 20%. Because we understand that sex cannot sustain a relationship. Can't. Not possible. Right? And we understand the 2 central motivations, one for each gender. Men, in its essence, men want intimacy. Women want security. At the end of the day, that's what a woman wants. Security. That's what's built into them. That's in their DNA. That's how they're wired. And when they look at a man, certainly his virileness has something to do with it. But most importantly, she's evaluating you. Can you provide her the security that she will need to grow and to nurture and to raise a family? They're programmed that way. That's what they're looking for in a man, right? Men are programmed to procreate. That's our fundamental job, is to procreate, right? So we're typically hotter, let's put it that way, than the woman. Not that the woman isn't hot, right? But that's what we do. So you've heard the old saying, no money, no honey, right? Stop providing for the woman to do her nurturing and see what happens to the relationship, right? So that comes first, because that's fundamentally the man is responsible. Fundamentally, now there are two people working in most households, but the man is responsible for the money, generally speaking, right? We are the hunters. That's our responsibility. So, now, that's perhaps an oversimplification of how a relationship remains balanced and productive, but fundamentally that's how it works. It doesn't mean that a woman does not contribute financially. Most of our women do. In fact, most of our women, generally speaking, unfortunately, are doing it on their own. 72% of our children are born out of wedlock, and 60% of our children are raised in a single family household, mostly by Black women. So I don't know what Black people would have done without Black women. I don't know where we would be in the last 400 years if it wasn't for Black women. They've played an incredible role. But there's a problem there, though. As magnificent as Black women are, and they are magnificent, they're actually smarter than us in many different ways. We cannot have our Black women raising our Black men. That is not what God intended. A Black boy needs a Black man in his life. That's DNA. And you say, well, Doc, why is that? A Black boy needs a Black man in his life as the model of what it takes to be a Black man. That's his model. That's his first model. And if they're daughters, then a daughter needs a Black man in her life so that she will have a model of what a good man is, so that when she goes out to select her man, she has a good model. And of course, a mother is critically important, because as a son, you need a model for what a good woman should be. Generally, that comes from your mom. And you subconsciously look for those traits in the woman that you bring into your life. And the same is true in the opposite way. So the need, let me say it differently. No race on earth will prosper without family. Our families have been destroyed. We are at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America, and have been so for 400 years. It's even worse now. It is because our families have been destroyed. What is the number one core value of, let's say, Latinos? You know what it is. You hear it all the time. La familia, the family. And that's why Latinos are outperforming us economically, because they got two working on the economics, and we have one. Two will always be one. So I applaud you. 5 children, still home, still have a family. That's a fabulous thing. And it's also unusual. And there's lots of reasons for it. And there's a lot of history around what has happened to the Black man. From days of slavery. I mean, I don't have to tell you those stories. You've seen movies, you've read books, so we have our own issues, no question. I have no idea how we got on this subject.
Well, since the only reason I didn't stop you is because we don't have to pay for it, and this is free, so we don't get this often.
That's right.
See?
Yes.
That's
Very appreciated.
good reason. That's a good reason.
I
That's
know.
a good reason. That's a good reason.
God, like this free.
Man.
Makes sense to me. And you didn't even ask me any questions.
You telepathically just knew the questions. He was like, let me just give them the answers so they'd have to ask me nothing. But no, thank you for that. Like, totally gave me an extra build of like extra level of confidence in just my position. Because I feel more responsible like over the coming years just because I'm a Black father and I'm a Black husband. And like you said, no one in my circle, my family comes from breakup, dysfunctional. And it's just like, just to be where we're at is always what people remember. They was like, you got 5 kids? And then the next question, with the same woman? I'm like, yeah, same woman. And we're married.
You know how rare that is? I mean, that's old school stuff.
That's
OG stuff, man. I mean, only, my generation, that would be our story, but not generation X, Y, and Z. There's 4 generations behind us right now. X, Y, Z, and Generation Alpha. That's the new name, by the way, for the children of the millennials. Generation Alpha. Now, why did they start with Generation Alpha? Because they're going to start the alphabet all over again.
Makes sense.
That's right.
That's
Right? So the next generation of children of the millennials and their children will probably be Generation B, as in boy. But right now, the Generation Alpha, that's the children of the millennials. So you are what, 40? How old are you?
35.
35. Okay. So you're a millennial. You're a millennial. You're in that millennial range, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 35 with 5 children and still hanging? Francois, take a picture of this brother, right? Take a picture of him, right? Put him in your cell phone. Well, you showed me a picture.
Yeah, I'm in there.
You know how unusual that is? Right? He may be the only one in New York.
But,
My God.
Google that.
You know another brother that's been married 17, 18 years with 5 children by the same woman? I
don't know
have you
anybody.
met that brother yet? Right?
I'm that brother.
At 35? Miss Francois, 35. I'm 35 years old, right? 5 children by the same woman is still married? Are you kidding me? Woo. Right? That's a model, babe. Man, that's a model, man. That's a model. That's a real model. That's an awesome model. It really is. So it's an honor to meet you.
Likewise, right? This has been so fulfilling.
Honor to meet you, man, because you are a rare breed. No, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And now, what kind of full-time work do you do?
Well, I left. I used to work for the post office as a mail handler, but that was going to.
Good job.
Great job.
Honest work. Important work.
I feel like that was starting to affect this family, and all my network in the post office were just like, it's cheaper to keep her, but everybody was getting divorced and stuff. And I felt like those same arguments I was having with my wife, financially, relationship, everything was just like falling. And I'm like, we're making money. We have security. Everybody's like, you got a great job. But the family was just like breaking apart. And I actually left that and then started doing like different ventures and in business, and I ended up in finance. So I work with a company and I do insurance and retirement options. And that actually gave me
I have an insurance license myself.
one of the greatest licenses. And I feel like
when I teach, I have a wealth building system called WINS, Wealth Building Centers. And it's a licensing arrangement, and I install them in historically black churches to replace their old wealth ministry. So it's called WINS, Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum. And in that curriculum, 75 modules in the curriculum. But the essence of the curriculum is teaching our people the 4 pillars for the intergenerational transfer of wealth, so that we can be in line with our spiritual teachings, which is Proverbs 13:22, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, right? So in the context of the 4 principles for the intergenerational transfer of wealth, number 1 is the proper management of accumulated wealth. Number 2 is real estate. Number 3 is business development or self-employed professionalism, which is what you're in. And number 4 is proper insurance. That's number 4. Why? Because 60% of all wealth is transferred tax-free through strategic and tactical placement of insurance. And white people have been knowing this for generations, right? We were buying debit insurance. It's really just burial insurance. I remember that with my parents. So I decided that if that's the 4th pillar for the intergenerational transfer of wealth, then I really need to know more about insurance. So at 71, I decided to get an insurance license, simply to know more about insurance. And it would force me to be disciplined enough and obedient enough to learn insurance so I could pass an insurance exam, right? So I did that. And then I went down, I live in Cleveland, I went downtown to take my exam and walked into class, and people thought I was the instructor. Right? They thought I was, what is this old guy? You're getting an insurance? How old are you? Right? And then I had to explain to him, I'm not really getting an insurance license to sell insurance. I'm getting an insurance license so that I can deeply understand the power and importance of insurance, so that if I ever decide to talk about it, hell, I'm licensed in it, right? And then I went one step further. It's something I would recommend for you to do. I went one step further. I got my CFEI. A CFEI is I am a certified financial education instructor. That's a certification.
Wow.
You can get the same certification, right? So next to my insurance credentials, letters, on my card, I also have CFEI. And the psychology around that is when people see that and they ask me, what is a CFEI? And I say, well, it's a certified financial education instructor. And it says to them that I'm here to educate you, not just to sell you. But before you can effectively provide people a tool that they need to invest in, right? They really need to be educated. We are the most financially illiterate people on earth, Black people in America, right? And so that has to be fixed. And white people are not fixing Black people. I mean, white people ain't thinking about Black people. You know that, right? I hope you know that white people are not thinking about Black people. White people are thinking about white people. They're thinking about their husbands, their wives, their children, their communities, their schools, their businesses, and your pockets. That's what they're thinking about. And so therefore, we have become Black people, the consumption class, and they are the merchant class. They make stuff, we buy stuff, right? And I say to my brothers and sisters all the time, the goal, brothers and sisters, is to win, not to look like we're winning. That I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You're just looking like you winning. You ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Gucci is winning. Nike is winning. Armani is winning. Mercedes is winning. You ain't winning. You're just consuming, right? And you're buying assets that generally do not increase in value. So that's a level of illiteracy, and we have to fix that. No one is going to fix us but us. Let me say that differently. We are not suffering because we cannot resolve our problems. We are suffering because we cannot see our problems clearly and succinctly, right? Clearly and succinctly. Black people want progress without execution. We want progress without execution. Rodney King, his ass was whipped 21 years ago. We watched that on television. We marched in protest and saber rattle. It morphed into Trayvon and all the others. It's 21 years ago. I looked up the police kill record of Black men over the last 10 years. You can do this yourself. Google it. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We marched. We failed to organize, sustain it, and execute and change laws. Nothing has changed. 21 years of this shit, right? And you know how many times we've marched and rioted, but still nothing has changed. You cannot have progress without execution, which means you then, once you stop marching, you organize, right? And then you begin executing on changing laws. Now, we may be at a point. George Floyd, thank God for George Floyd. George Floyd is the modern day Emmett Till. I don't know if you know who Emmett Till was, right? Yeah. The murder of Emmett Till brought about the same anger among Black people as George Floyd had, except George Floyd went global, right? This was a global incident. So this is God. What has occurred, only God is responsible for. We have Donald Trump, a pandemic, and George Floyd all in the same year, right? The re-election of Donald Trump in November, a pandemic, and George Floyd. Had you bet me $100 that we would be watching 24/7 wall-to-wall coverage of the pandemic through the end of the year and beyond, I would have taken that. I would have said, yep, you're probably right. I would have taken that bet. No one would have bet that there would be one thing that would happen in the world that would change the entire conversation from a pandemic to a horizontal lynching, right? So for 3 weeks, there was no conversation about the pandemic. There wasn't even any respect for social distancing around the pandemic, with millions of people around the world marching, right? So God said, I'm going to give the world the next thing and the closest thing to a crucifixion that will so upset the world. And this is the time to upset the world. You know why? They're home. They're bored. They have free time. Right? Had that moment happened when everybody was working, because our unemployment rate was the lowest it had been in years. Had everybody been working, very few would have had time to get out of the streets for 3 weeks, not a day, 3 weeks, and protest. Right? They're glued to their televisions or some sort of visual device, the phone, laptop, or television. So the incident was so egregious, and people had the time. Globally, the whole world stopped for this pandemic. The whole world had free time. So we got massive demonstrations around the world, and we got global viewership like we would have never gotten before on this horizontal lynching that changed the hearts and minds of a lot of people, white people, right? In a sense, it was God's way of appealing to the better angels in all of us, right? You cannot see this 50 times a day, as horrible as it was, and not be changed if you are a person with white privilege, knowing who you really are and what you've really done, right? This is in your face every day, 50 times a day. You know what they call television shows? You know what they call television shows? Programming. Isn't it called programming?
Yes, they
Isn't that
do.
right, Ms. Francois? It's called programming. So when you see something like that and see the global outrage 24/7, wall to wall, you're being reprogrammed. You're horrified. So something actually can happen now. But only God could have orchestrated that. We would have never guessed that in 1,000 years. A narcissistic fool as leader of the free world. A pandemic once in 100 years. And a horizontal lynching similar to Emmett Till. Don't tell me that ain't God. No one could have ever orchestrated that, but something more powerful than us. So this is a seminal moment. Now we, as Black people, have to execute. It's on us now, right? Let's not go back to the normal things that we do. Let's organize, and let's get laws changed, and let's keep the heat on the white world, right? And this is true confession right now. I've seen some stuff that white people have said over the last week or so. I just read a very famous rabbi. You may have seen it on your social media. Made a statement that the 12 tribes of Israel were actually Black. They've always denied that the original Jews were Black. They're now admitting it. You talk about hyper guilt, right? It was a lie. So what we're going to see is retro revisionist history, right? The history that they lied about, took credit for, said that Cleopatra was Elizabeth Taylor, a white lady, right? It's all BS that not Black people have never done anything of any significance, that we were apes, and that they came to to Africa and pulled us from trees eating bananas and civilized us. That was the story. It's all bullshit. We, Africans, civilized the world. We were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures, white people, were living in caves, eating each other. This is the truth. This is not hype. They flipped the script. They said it was them. It was us. So you're going to see a lot of revisionist history, as it should be. The truth coming out, right? And that we are not less than human. We're not 3/5 of a man, as written. And you know, back in the day, when we voted, back in the day, we didn't count for a whole person, right? So this is an incredible time. Incredible. Things are going to change. And of course, there will be racists who will not change. But I think there will be many white people that this confluence of incidences will appeal to the better angels in themselves, and they will begin the process of changing. In fact, one of the strategies we'll be using in Fraser Nation, and we'll talk about this at the Power Networking Conference, is using white privilege to mitigate white privilege. You say, well, Don, what the hell is that? In the ancient martial arts, if you know anything about the martial arts, there's a very simple theory that you use the force of motion coming towards you against itself, right? That's martial arts. A moving force against you with certain moves can turn that force that was against you against itself. So we can use that same concept with white privilege. We can appeal to white people who have white privilege, all of them, to mitigate the effects of white privilege by speaking up and speaking out and admitting that they are privileged, because they don't admit that, right? And so how can that work? Well, it's the first principle of Alcoholics Anonymous. The first principle of the 12 steps is, in order to become sober, you must first admit that you're a drunk, right? In other words, to solve your problem, you must first admit that you have a damn problem. If you are in denial that you don't have a problem, I don't have any, I know I'm white, but I don't have any privilege, right? Right? I mean, first of all, you're ignorant, right? I probably don't even want to deal with you, but anyway, you have to admit that. Yes, I am advantage. Is both conscious and subconscious, is on automatic. It was built into the system. It's not nothing new. You got to admit that. Then you can begin the healing process. If you're in denial of this, you're still in denial after all this shit we've seen. Now, by the way, we have seen this theory that I'm talking about, white privilege mitigating and fighting against white privilege. We've seen it already on the streets during the demonstration, where a brother comes out, right, with his hands up, and he get on his knees, right? You've seen this, right? In front of the police. And then a white woman comes and stands in front of him. That's white privilege beating off the force of white privilege. Do you understand that? Am I talking way over, right? Absolutely. You understand how that works, right? So that's a strategy that can be, that have appealed to the better angels in some, not all, but some. We need to start thinking outside of the box and start thinking of ways that we can leverage this moment. Because I'm 75. I've never seen this in my lifetime at 75. I've never seen these three forces, right? A narcissistic egomaniac as leader of the free world that is hated singularly by more than half of this country. I've not seen that. A pandemic, I'm not 102. The last one was the Spanish flu in 1918. This is my first pandemic, right? Now, I was around only 9 years old with Emmett Till. It was 1954, 55. So the equivalent of Emmett Till and its impact, even greater, happened during my lifetime. George Floyd. The question is, what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do? We have been hurt more by what we don't know than by what we can't do. Let me repeat that for you. Black people have been hurt more by what we don't know than by what we can't do. And that's because we do not have a critical mass of critical thinkers. Du Bois talked about it as the talented 10, the best and the brightest. And we don't have a critical mass of critical Black thinkers because too many of our people are not intellectually curious. Black people don't read. We're starting to write more than ever before, but we don't read. Reading and researching and being curious about things, all things, provides the intellectual knowledge base for critical thinking. You cannot think critically without a base of knowledge. And when we use our critical thinking and the giftedness of innovation and creativity that Black people have, when you put those three things together, there ain't nothing we can't do. We've already proven that. Except we have forgotten who we are. Not only have we forgotten who we are, we have forgotten that we have forgotten. Right? That we are the children of the slaves that would not die, that we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa, that we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves. And in spite of the fact that America kept its foot on our throat for 350 years, we overcame that and we rose like the phoenix. So if everything happens for a reason, it serves us in some special way, and you will never understand that reason looking forward, and you will only understand it looking backwards. Maybe actually God works in mysterious ways. Maybe we were not brought here. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? I don't think so. How could an America who could morally, spiritually, and biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America, Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans here, America might have self-destructed by now. That's how powerful we are. But no pain, no gain. No resistance, no strength. No rain, no rainbow. We, African Americans, are the smartest Black people on earth. We are the smartest Black people on earth. And until we connect with Mother Africa, we bring our intellectual capital that we've spent 350 years getting to the natural resources. Africa, the continent, controls 70% of the natural, most important minerals on Earth. But Africans are still the poorest people per capita in Africa. What's up with that? So when we match the intellectual capital of Black people in America and the natural resources, the richest continent on the planet, when you put those two things together, unite those two things, as opposed to continue to keep them apart, all hell will break loose. I don't for 1 minute not understand that white people don't understand that. They understand that. They do not want us together. Not at all. White people are the smallest of the three major races on Earth. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Asians are the largest, 4.4 billion Asians. Africans are the second largest at 1.6 billion, and the richest continent in natural resources. Caucasians, white folk, are about 1 billion with recessive genes. You know that we have the dominant genes. You do know that, right? We are God's first people. We have the dominant genes. They have recessive genes, and they're not replacing each other. The number of kids per white family will not replace the white family. So what are white people doing? They're doing everything they need to do to survive. Even with the evil shit that they've done. Our problem is that we have not done everything we needed to do to survive. Because we operate out of two moral and value systems. There's the Eurocentric system, and then there's an African-centered system. In one sense, we're more docile, if you understand the difference between Afrocentricity and Eurocentricity. We're more docile, right? We believe in community and the sharing of all things, and a power higher than us, fundamentally. White people believe in survival of the fittest and rugged individualism. They overpower. What did I do? I was writing something. I'm always writing. And because I'm writing a new book.
Nice.
Now, if I'm boring you, you tell me.
Yes,
No.
I'll tell you, yes.
Keep it
Then
going.
we'll tell some jokes. All right. So where is it? I'm writing my autobiography. You know, at 75, you start telling people your life story. Not that anybody's interested. What did I do with it? Let's see. I know quiet airtime is not good. Oh, here we go. Now, I took this because I had a thought. I took this out of my own book. This is the paperback version of Success Runs in Our Race.
Okay.
The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. I wrote this book 26 years ago. Now, this is the paperback version of it. The hardcover version, you can still buy this book on Amazon. But anyway, in that book, I try to explain to Black people the difference between a Eurocentric worldview and an African-centered worldview. We look at the world through a different set of eyes than white people. So, Let me just, because I didn't memorize it. I just wrote it down here. And let me just read it to you right quick. Just take a minute.
That's fine.
Yeah, take your time.
A Eurocentric worldview. Now, you really want to unpack this, get the book. It's much more detail. I'm just giving you a 40,000 foot view, okay? Eurocentric worldview. Order is imposed by the stronger force. The stronger force gains advantage by ordering the universe as it wishes. That's how white people see the world. An African-centered worldview. I've been to Africa 31 times. Here's how we see the world. The universe is active and alive, and the laws of nature reveal its inherent order, as well as the Creator's divine laws.
Okay, break that down.
In other words, we believe that there's somebody up here that's in charge,
Okay.
and that there are divine laws, and we must follow those laws. Those laws were first expressed in the Maat, M-A-A-T. Google that someday. Laws written in ancient Egypt. That's worldview. Now, finally, Eurocentric thinking versus African-centered thinking. Eurocentric thinking, survival of the fittest, promotes a drive for mastery and control of nature and the accumulation of possessions. That's how white folk think. I'm stronger than you. You're weaker than me. I'm going to dominate you. African-centered worldview. You'll see this in villages all over Africa. African-centered thinking. There is a oneness of all things. Life is primary and must reflect a divine nature. Group maintenance, collectiveness, and sharing are essential. That's how we think. You see the difference between how we think and how they think, and how we could easily go for their bullshit and ultimately be dominated by them. We ain't thinking like them, right? We're thinking what they're saying. You're going to take our people back to the United States. You're going to educate them, make them better, and you're going to send them back to Africa to help grow Africa. Wrong. That's not what happened. That's because of the way they think. Their worldview is different than ours. But now we are awake. We are the most morally grounded and spiritually rooted people on earth. And there's a good side and a bad side to Christianity. You do know that. Because that's not our religion. That's their religion. That's a whole nother story. Whenever a people provide you a religion where the iconography, the imagery is white, blue hair, blue eyes, and blonde hair, and you ought to get on your knees and pray to it. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. That's not even biblical. Your God is in your image. Look at any Asian religion. Does Confucius look like a black man? Does Confucius look like a white man? No. So when you're on your knees praying to a white man with blonde hair, now we went for that for years and years and years and years. We have gotten rid of that in the black church fundamentally. But you don't think that that had a cumulative impact on who we thought was better than us, who we believed and trusted more than our own, who we actually wanted to be? I said on a show, one of the beautiful things I love about the younger generation is that they are unapologetically Black. We were not in my generation. We were trying to be white so that we could survive, so that we could get jobs, so that we would be upward mobility. So we were trying to speak like them. We were trying to dress like them. We were trying to look like them. We were frying our hair, right? We're putting in artificial waves, and we wanted our hair to look good. We wanted good hair. Good hair was white hair. Well, what were the standards of beauty during my generation? White women. In fact, in my day, if you call somebody Black, those were fighting words. Do you know that? Oh, no, absolutely. No. I ain't Black. I'm colored. I'm a Negro. Don't call me Black. That was almost as bad as calling somebody, a white man calling a Black person a nigger. We outgrew that, but that was a point in time. So we have a lot of work to do. But the Sam Cooke road, the change is going to come. I think this is a seminal moment. We need to act like it, right? And we need to execute on it. Now, I know you didn't ask me any of this at all, but this is what needs to be said. This is that moment in time. It's so important. I wrote a book on this moment called Click. 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. In other words, the premise was that you don't click with everybody that you network with. You click when three things are in perfect alignment: chemistry, fit, and timing. I wrote this book 13 years ago. Chemistry, fit, and timing. We could have good chemistry, good fit, bad timing. We'll click. We could have good timing, good chemistry, bad fit. We'll click. Any one of those things are out of alignment, you don't click. When you click, when they're in alignment, you create the win-win-win. Win to the third power. You win, I win, and the people that we both serve win. That's the deal. That's when you got a deal. So, this is a click moment. Click moment. Right?
Definitely.
That's how I see it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, we have it recorded.
I've talked over an hour. That was a monologue. I know you normally do comedy shows, right? But you're brilliant in that as well.
Well, thank you very much. What was that? That was, yes, an hour and 20 minutes.
Still good. We're gonna have to rewatch this one a few times.
I'm just glad it was free. So.
Wow. So okay. Everybody who's good. So you're going to push this out as a recording, or were you doing live? You wasn't live.
No, I recorded and then edited and everything. But this is for us.
Yeah, this is in-house.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
Then you'll edit it down to what you need.
Yes, sir.
And then for those of your fans that watch this, just get them to the Power Networking Conference October the 14th to the 17th in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Oh, we still have to do part of my segment. I'm making sure, because this is part of it. But I need to ask you additional questions, so don't be going nowhere. Okay, because I know what he's talking about. Go to your stage and take this sign. Don't be leaving my sign all over.
Pleasure and honor. We will meet again.
My God. Okay, you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, 1 second.
All right. 12.
10. What is that? 10, it's 12 minutes, right?
12, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's going to be like 2 12-minute segments. Okay, sir? You can handle that? And I'll try not to be overly rude and disrespectful. I'm going to try to be nice to you because I will cut you off when necessary. Make sense? All right. Okay, ready? Okay. Oh, take the fan off because I think it sounds loud. Take it off. Oh, and is this one? Okay, good. Okay, I go first. Ready? Welcome to the Miss Francois Show, home edition. The show where I use laughter and humor to help you deal with your dysfunctional relationships. And it is dysfunctional. Thank God I'm here looking amazing as always, and I'm here to help you. You're welcome. Tonight's guest is none other than Dr. George C. Fraser. Normally, Dr. George C. Fraser like to say something that he like to do a dramatical read. There'll be no dramatical read tonight. I don't know what he talking about. I in theater. I saying however I want to talk about him. So, Mr. Dr. George Fraser is the chairman of FraserNet and Fraser Nation. He's the founder of Power Networking Conference, the best-selling author of 6 books, including Success Runs in Our Race. He's one of the sexiest 75-year-old men I've ever... Oh, I don't know who. That's okay. That's a typo. But he is sexy and he is 75. So technically he could be okay. He has 40 years committed to Black excellence, economic development, and wealth creation for the Black community. And with all that fancy stuff and the books and all that wonderful things and all the things he's doing for the Black community, guess what? One of his prize accomplishment is being married to Miss Nora Jean for over 47 years. So, Mr. George, how are you today?
I'm awesome. Good to see you. You look
Go ahead, say all the compliments.
You're easy on the eyes. Let's just put it that way.
Only that? You're supposed to keep going on and on. I look amazing.
Listen, no one would ever know that you're 74. Amazing. You know, black don't crack.
It does
right?
not.
I mean, my God. Right? You look like a modern day Lena Horne.
Oh,
right? Oh,
thank God these things are recorded. I'm so happy. I'm going to be playing that over and over. Okay?
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I wanted to first ask you, every time, recently on one of the Power podcasts that you do on Facebook Live on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 7 p.m. See, I plugged that in there. I'm pretty smart, right? So on one of your Power podcasts, you had said that your wife of 47 years is your time machine. So Nora Jean is your time machine. Why is that?
Because she's very punctual, very orderly, very detailed, and even at her age, like you, it's like she's in a time machine. She's still very beautiful for her age, very supple, and you know, she's just, you know, wonderful to be around, and she keeps me in order. I mean, she has strengths where I have weaknesses, and you know, how do you stay married to the same person for 47 years unless there are things about that person for you that are timeless and remain, in a sense, consistent? The thing that's important to us about a clock is that it's consistent, right?
Yes.
Every single day, and we can look at that clock and we know that it's going to go around, and it's going to eventually, every day is going to be at 8 o'clock, there's going to be at 7:30, there's a consistency. So in that context, Jean has, in a sense, been my clock, and has been my stopwatch. In other words, she's watched me and she'd say, stop. And she, she's just, I think it's a wonderful metaphor for her.
Okay, so right now, basically, we're supposed to pray for Nora Jean because she has a lot of work and she's been doing this for 47 years. So, Nora Jean, I'm so sorry. We'll pray for you this afternoon, okay? But that's wonderful. So, one of the things you also said, you said she excelled at nagging. Nora Jean, this is what he said about you. You excelled at nagging, and then you realized that she was just preserving her investment. When did that realization come about in the 47 years?
I realized that relatively recently, to be honest with you, since I've grown older and wiser, probably within the last 15 years, right? So the first, let us say 25 years, well, actually the first 30 years, I did process it as, goodness gracious, I mean, it's this and that, this, and you reminded me, don't forget to put gas in the car, don't forget to tie, so I categorized that as nagging. But then as I grew older and wiser and matured and began to understand feminine language, right? Because women think and speak differently than men. And you have to interpret what they're saying. Men do. They speak more than men. They're more verbose. But there's a reason for all of this. And that is because they are trying to keep order and to make sure things go right and to protect you from you in many cases, right? And to help you learn and understand what they mean by what they say, right? So, because you really have to read between the lines in many, from a male perspective, on what a woman is saying. You have to listen for the words unspoken, and you have to watch their body language, right? So women certainly Black women, have a different way of effectively communicating with you, but 99% of it is for your own good.
And it took you 30 years, Mr. George? It took you 30 years.
It took me 30 years to figure that out holistically. Now any brother listening to me, right, will be able to figure out that in half the time now, because I already told them what the trick is.
So you're giving them some help. That's good.
No, they don't have to go through the same timeline that I went through.
Right. That's what I was thinking. That's a lot. So I wanted to, why do you think, for instance, since yours lasts 47 years, what's the one or two reasons maybe why relationships in this day and age doesn't last that long anymore, or doesn't seem that it will be lasting that long anymore?
Two simple reasons. One is trust. We trust each other. I remember when I was dating Nora Jean, I was living in Cleveland. She was living in Cincinnati. I met her at a Black Expo. She was hostess for Pepsi Cola. And I had a booth right across from the Pepsi Cola booth. And I saw this beautiful sister. But she wasn't smiling. She's a hostess, but she wasn't smiling. So that was an opening, Miss Francois. It was an opening. She wasn't smiling. So I walked over to a booth. She was sitting down. And I said, I know why you're not smiling. So she looked at me. I said, you're hungry. I said, can I buy you a hot dog and a Coke? Right? Now, remember, she was a hostess.
Yeah, Pepsi.
Then she laughed. And the rest is history. Right? But anyway, so we had it was a wonderful weekend, and we started dating, and we dated for almost 2 years. I would go down to Cincinnati, which is about a 4-hour car drive, one weekend, and she would come up to Cleveland. And we did that. We didn't miss 1 week, right, in 2 years, until we finally said it's just cheaper to be married. Okay?
Wow, that's
So
the first time I heard that one.
so I said to Norgine, I said, let's make a deal. Now, you got to remember that at this time, I was very, very popular in Cleveland, so much so that the same weekend that I had met Gene, Ebony Magazine used to have an annual thing called the Black America's 100 Most Eligible Bachelors. Well, the weekend that I met her, do you remember that? You don't remember
No.
that. Ebony Magazine's 100, right? Right? This was a big deal. Well, the weekend I met Gene, I was one of the most 100 eligible bachelors, black bachelors in America.
Wow.
All right? And that was a national publication. Also, I was very popular for doing a lot of things in Cleveland at the time. I was always sort of a civic leader. And I had a very nice apartment. I had a penthouse apartment, beautifully done. And they had a full page spread in our daily newspaper of George Fraser's penthouse apartment. Okay? Right? This all happened the same weekend that I met Nora Jean. That was all coincidental. So fast forward 2 years, and we decided to get married. And I said, listen, let's make a deal. I said, do you plan to fulfill the vows? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, it says till death do us part. She said, of course. I said, okay, I do too. So let's just make one promise to each other. Don't look and you won't find. Because even if there's nothing to find, you'll create something. Trust me. And by the way, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, because she's very beautiful. I trust you. And we shook on it.
Wow.
And she fulfilled that for 47 years. And I fulfilled my promise for 47 years. So the number one thing is trust. If you don't have trust, you have nothing anyway. I don't care if you got beauty. I don't care how good the sex is. I don't care what it is. I don't care how much money is involved. If there's no trust, you have nothing anyway. Bless it and release it.
Okay.
So that's the number one thing. Trust. And then the number two thing is to at least be in the same book, at least, around the proper use and purpose and management of money. Marriage is a serious business. Serious business. And over a lifetime, if you have two productive human beings, and Nora always, she made a decision. She wanted to work. She wanted to be out of the house. You're going to be dealing with millions of dollars. Your life is going to reflect that on how you handle and manage that money. So there needs to be alignment around that. Right?
Okay.
So for me, those are the two things.
Okay. Like you said, okay, so money, trust, and money go hand in hand, and we pretty much could last about 47 years or at least 30 years when you realize she wasn't nagging, right? Make sense?
Right.
Okay, with that said, we're going to take a small break, but I'm going to leave you with one of Dr. Fraser's videos, because he goes all over the world. And that's the other thing I want to ask him, like, being that even though it's trust and finances, how does Nora Jean deal with him flying all over the world? How is that a strain on the relationship? So join me back here in 2 seconds. Plus, if you don't want to see him, you can always just look at me. We'll be right back. How that I went to like I don't worry. I'll go cuss him out to the next one. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
That's a good question, by the way.
Oh, I impressed him. He said, good question. We're friends for life. I told you it was going to be our mentor. Remember that? I'm good. Okay, right? Welcome back to the Miss Francois show. Yes. multi-talented and super sexy as always. And we have the Mr. Sexy, Dr. George Fraser. Say hi, Mr. Fraser. Say hi. And that's his real hair. It's not a toupee or anything. Yes, he does look that good. And yes, he is 75. But I think if he was a little older, maybe I would have tried to get rid of Nora Jean, but he a little too young for me. But anyway, Mr. Fraser, we had shown a clip of you doing what you do best, speaking. So you had mentioned that you've been to, example, Africa over 31 times. So you have flown to many countries, many places. Doesn't that put a strain on relationships? Or are you taking your wife with you on some of these trips? Or how does that work?
Okay. I have been flying and traveling for about 40 years. I have 9.5 million frequent flyer miles. I speak 150 times a year all over the world. And the question is, how has that intersected with the relationship I have with my wife? Well, I can tell you that it has been a lifesaver. And being home with Nora Jean 24/7 for the last 3 months has proven my theory out that there needs to be separation, that the wife needs her space, the man needs his space, right? I don't think you should be up under each other 24/7.
Right.
Now, we have a big house and we do have our own space. So it's not a matter of space or proximity. It is just a matter of presence. And so what I believe that has contributed significantly to the sustainability of this relationship over 47 years is I leave and come back. And when I come back, it's like a mini honeymoon.
Right.
Right? So so it has helped significantly. In fact, before COVID, if I was home for too long could have been a week or 10 days. Miss Nora Jean would say, "When are you leaving?" Right? She'd say it very nicely, but she has her girlfriends, she has her dog, she has her things that she loves to do, right? And it does not involve me, nor should it involve me, nor am I pining for it to involve me. And it gives her space. And so there's a certain amount of joy and happiness when I return. There's a little trepidation. There's always, oh my God, I don't want the plane to crash or anything. But after 40 years of it, you're not really even thinking of that. So it has helped tremendously. It's helped her, and it has helped me. And of course, this has put the proximity of our relationship, as it has for many couples, to the ultimate test.
Right, because that's one of the next things I was leading to. Because since COVID, that has saying how there has been an increase in divorce and domestic violence. Like since, for instance, how we are been home for 3 months. What are some of the things that people could do, or you and Miss Nora been doing in order to stay sane and not have a divorce and just reduce domestic violence like it's been going on in society right now? So, like, for instance, right now you're like hiding out somewhere?
Right now, I'm in my office space, and she, which is downstairs, and she's upstairs in her space, right? So, for example, during this period, we don't sleep in the same room, just to give us space, right?
And this is now, like this is a certain amount of days a week, or what do you mean?
This is 3 months.
What the hell?
So she sleeps upstairs, and I sleep downstairs for the need to fulfill the need of separation, right? The need of separation. And we meet every day in the kitchen. Sometimes we'll eat meals together in the family room. We have a big family room, big 75-inch television. We might watch something together, right? But I'm not sitting up under her while she does whatever she normally does when I'm not around, because I'm not interested. And she's retired. And vice versa. So that's one of the things that has helped to keep us sane and separated.
Okay.
Again, we have reversed some roles. For 47 years, she's done all the shopping.
For 47 years.
For 47 years, yeah, I've never been in a grocery store. That was totally her responsibility, or as she has never taken out garbage for 47 years. That was my job, right? And her job was to do the shopping. Well, we have reversed those roles. Now I'm doing all the shopping.
And she takes the garbage
really
out?
Interesting. Huh?
And you have...
No, I still take the garbage out. And the reason I'm doing all this shopping is because Jean is highly compromised. And when I say highly compromised, she has asthma.
Okay.
And a reduced capacity of her lungs. And so she is very, very susceptible to COVID, which attacks the lungs.
Okay.
So to be ultra safe, she stays home. I go out and do the shopping of something that she would normally do.
Okay. So I want to ask a question.
So that's another.
Okay, so I wanted to ask a question. So that is good that you're a very good husband and you were okay with reversing roles and still taking the garbage out. I applaud you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, for you, go ahead.
I want to be married for, 60 years. So that's how you do it.
That's the plan.
Right. That's right.
I have,
what do they say? Happy wife, happy life.
That's what they say. Was a wise person also say no money, no honey, right? That was a wise person.
That's right. That's right.
So I want to know, right, what advice you would have for an amazing woman like me that is still single. So I had asked you if you knew anyone. You don't know anyone, so that was no help to me. But what advice would you give women of today, Black women, independent women doing more than what they're supposed to do in some instances, and they kind of find a husband?
Don't give up. There's someone out there looking harder for you than you are for them. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. But the optimism is that there is a needle in the haystack. You just have to find it. So you don't give up. Continue to be you and to do you. And if you want to meet great Black men, you have to be where great Black men are.
And where are that? Let me get my pen. Get past the pen. Okay, go ahead.
Generally, great Black men play golf.
Okay, so I got it.
Have you ever thought about taking up golf?
No.
You'll be one of the few fine sisters on the golf course, and it's full of brothers. And most brothers, because golf is an expensive hobby. I play golf. I've been playing golf for 50 years, right? It's an expensive hobby. So you'll be involved in a hobby that is 99% Black men.
Really?
Play golf.
Try that. Play golf. Okay.
Play golf.
I'm going to take that seriously.
Oh, yeah. Do you belong to a sorority?
No.
Join a sorority. All sororities have a brother fraternity. And when you have a brother, for example, I'm a Phi Beta Sigma. The Zetas are a sister sorority. When the Zetas have an event, all these fine women, the brother fraternity are invited to go. Now, you know these are decent men because, generally speaking, to get in a fraternity or sorority, you're a college graduate.
Right.
So you got to be where the men are that you're looking for. Now, they don't necessarily have to be college graduates, but if you're looking for someone that you know has at least some education, then you go to events where there are men that basically have education. And that's generally fraternal events.
You're pretty smart.
And the only way to get in them is to be in the sister sorority.
Okay, we'll talk about check me. I have to find out more about these things.
You see how outside of the box I'm thinking here, right? Most people would never give you this advice.
No, this is like stuff. I've never ever heard. You hear the typical go to the laundromat or something along those lines. Okay, so I'm very appreciative.
You're generally not looking to meet men at laundromats or bars,
right? Because right. I mean, that's you hear the typical young stuff like that, and the average person, that's what they say, because that's where they are. Go after work. Like someone had told me, like Wall Street, for instance, after work around 6 o'clock or whatever, go to the bars and just sit there. So, but apparently that hasn't been working.
It depends on your age. You're not going to go to a bar where it's full of young people, millennials,
right.
Or 22, 23, 24, 25, unless of course you're looking for a young man for whatever reason.
Okay.
You want to hang out age appropriate and socioeconomic appropriate.
Okay.
Right? So there's a bar in New York where all of the Crips hang out.
Right. How you know that?
And would you go there?
Check me.
I have more answers than you have questions.
I see that.
Right. So there's a special place where the Crips hang out in New York. You know this. Is that a place you go to try to find a man?
Nope.
No. So you have to understand who you are and what you're looking for. There's some basic things you're looking for in a man. All right? So you have to think about that. Mm-hmm. Not every place is appropriate for you. What did I say earlier? Not everything is for everybody.
Right.
But there is something for everybody. But if you're making something for everybody, it's for nobody. Because you can't please everybody.
Very true. And on that note,
so you have
okay, yeah, as you can see, Mr. Fraser doesn't just know about business and business networking. He knows about relationship networking also. So this is the man we all need to know and see and find out more about. So Dr. Fraser, tell us about your Power podcast so people can actually view it. When is your Power podcast? It's on Facebook?
Well, the Power podcast is we've just done 30 of them. We finished the spring season. We're going to start up summer season in a couple of weeks. And you can go to my George Fraser fan page on Facebook. And all 30 of them are sitting there. You can watch any of them. Or you can just YouTube them. So the All-Star Power podcast. And there's some incredible interviews. You've seen many of them. You have your favorites. I have my favorites. But it's basically 30 hours of the baddest brothers and sisters on the planet. Right? So you go to my fan page on Facebook. And I'm trying to remember I think it's George C Fraser fans. George C Fraser fans. But it's an unbelievable series.
I know. I definitely, like I said, I watch it myself. And with that said, Thank you for joining me today on the Miss Francois Show, the home edition. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. I'm on all social media platforms. And again, at the end of the day, look at all of this. Look at this cuteness. Okay, I'm about to learn to play some golf. Okay, my husband, I'm coming. All right, I'm coming. Thank you so much. See y'all later. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, my chest. Okay, so we're done with that. I just have a question. Check me. But okay, I went to college, so forth and so on, but I went to, night school and all that stuff. So I didn't have the whole college thing that some people have where you have sororities and all that stuff, right? But my thing with golf, because I don't even like golf, that stuff looks so boring. But I know you like golf, so I'm sure it's really exciting to you. But if I wanted to start learning golf, or even, don't you have to get into certain spaces and so some of those places you need to know people?
Yeah, you want to start with an instructor.
Okay.
You go to any golf course, and every major golf course in America has an official instructor.
Okay.
And you charge a fee, an hourly fee, and you begin the process of learning the game. It takes time, but that's where men are. Now, black men have special places that they feel comfortable and play golf. They're black clubs, black men's golf clubs. They have outings. Because once you get into it, you'll learn all these things, and you'll learn what crowds are playing golf and what crowds are not playing golf. But
what do you like about golf?
Oh, I like the fact that it's on hundreds of acres. A golf course is on hundreds of acres of the most pristine and beautiful land in America. You're out in nature. The sea is beautiful. It's a tough game, and I like just being out in nature and the quiet time and the bonding time that you spend with 3 or 4 people just having fun.
Okay.
A wonderful way to relax. And if you have anything competitive about you, you'll enjoy it.
I'm very competitive.
I don't know if you're athletic or not. Are you athletic?
I do, but I am athletic because the things I do, I don't play a particular sport. I do what are games we play? Like Spartan races. You know what Spartan races are? Like it's like obstacle courses where you're running for a particular time, then you're climbing up, then you're jumping off something.
You do that?
Yeah.
No, that's good. So you are athletic.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
You'll be fine. Oh yeah, that'd be great.
But I'm like, I don't know about golfing.
So where do you go to meet men? Where are you going now?
Right now, honestly, I'm not going anywhere. Well, beside pandemic or whatever. I had the last relationship I was in was like in so before I honestly. It came a point in time where I wasn't looking. I'm just not looking. I was just doing my own thing. So the whole point was I continue to do what I do, and he would find me. That was what basically it was. So I wasn't going anywhere in particular.
So have you dated?
No, I have dated.
But you've not sustained it because of what?
No, what some
lack of interest.
No, I would say, okay. So, everyone says something. People say that I have a strong personality, or I am too, what do you say, Quentin? About me. I have a strong personality. I have high expectations.
Yeah. Sure.
People are scared of me.
Right. What do you do for a living?
I'm a manager in a bank.
You're what now?
A manager in a bank.
Okay, bank manager.
Yeah.
Right.
Freaking, I don't know.
Well, there are a lot of people that come through banks.
Yeah, the branch that I work is a bunch of old white people. No one's coming there.
Oh, okay. Well, then, what else do you do to be around men?
What do I do, Quentin? I do a lot. Like I do my, because most of the time is I go to work. I'm very we're outgoing. I say we like we're like together. I'm in Toastmasters. What other clubs do I join? I'm in a few different clubs that I do, like Toastmasters. Ain't got no man in there, huh? Well, I'm going to be area director. Oh, well, see, we'd have this next level in Toastmasters where it's like area director. So that's one of the other things. Oh, I go to a lot of conferences. Hence, I'm coming to yours. That's why I was asking about how much men going to be there. So I do a lot of those different kinds of events that I go to, like Les Brown events.
Good.
Right. So I go to a lot of those conferences.
So you're very attractive. That men must hit on you.
But apparently, like I just learned yesterday, for instance, somebody at my job do like me, or people say people like me, but they said they too scared to approach me.
All right, so you intimidate men.
So it's not on purpose though.
No, I understand. Well, so that means you need a certain kind of man.
Okay.
A man that you don't intimidate.
Right, but where is this man? If a lot of people have issues, because even with my show, right, my TV show, this is my personality 24 hours a day, right? And sometimes
you also may need a man from the Caribbean.
No, I want a man with Caribbean background. He don't have to be fresh off the boat because I can handle those.
Right,
but Caribbean background. And people say, like, for instance, when I do my show, like how my personality, they already assume, like some guys would say, oh, I'm not going to talk to you because I'm sure there's 100 other guys trying to talk to her. I can't win.
Stick with it. You'll be fine.
Okay, well, I do have a clock, you know. If
it don't fit, don't force it, right? You don't want to go out there looking like you're desperate. Just do you, and when the right man comes along, you'll know it. You know, don't pretend to be. Just do you. You can't be anybody else.
I know, because like some of my female friends say my personality is too much, and I should try to tone down my personality a little, and then after I trap the man, then I could come back up with my personality. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Don't do that.
No, I don't know how you step outside of your own personality.
That's very hard.
I don't think you need a personality transplant. I just think you have to. That's the most transparent and that's the most honest thing.
Right.
Right? Because what's in you is going to come out. You just have to be true to you. You'll find the right person. You don't have to compromise. Because if you compromise, if you pretend, all of that stuff only lasts but a minute, right? At some point in time, right? The transparency of the person comes out. At some right. So let me put it this way. The first objective when meeting a person of the opposite sex is to discover their baggage, the discovery of baggage. We all have baggage. There's no one on earth without baggage. But we hide it. And we're on our best behavior. And we're putting our best foot forward. As Shakespeare said, the whole world is a stage and everybody's playing a part. So you date that person and they get more comfortable with you. And eventually the truth comes out. You discover the baggage. And that goes both ways.
Right.
So now the next objective is to, once you discover it, is to see if in fact you could carry the baggage, or is it just too heavy? If you feel that you can carry it, then the next thing you have to discover is, can you walk with the baggage? It's one thing just lifting it up. It's another thing walking with it.
Yeah.
And then once you feel comfortable that you can walk with the baggage, then the next goal is to see if you can run with it. If you can run with it, you got to keep her.
Okay.
We all have baggage. So it's the discovery of that baggage. Can you run with it? And again, it goes both ways, because you have baggage too. And the quicker you get that baggage out, the quicker the decision will be as to whether this is something you can roll with.
Right.
Unless, of course, you didn't discover it all. And this happens. People married 10 years, 15 years, because we're all evolving and changing. Remember what I said, people evolve and change, and people get divorced after 5, 10, 15, 20 years. What was that about? All right. So that's the process that you have to go through. That's where you are. This is easy to say and very difficult to do.
Yeah.
That's why divorce is now more common than marriage. All right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of distractions today. And you deciding the kind of man, the kind of partner you want to live with for the rest of your life, because you don't really want to do this 2 or 3 times. It's not good. Right? You want to try to do this one time. Do you want children?
Yeah. I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, you got some modern women don't want it, right? If you do, then you got to find a brother, hopefully, obviously, that wants children. You might run into a nice brother. He already has a family of 3 and an ex-wife.
Huh, yeah.
I mean,
and see, that's the thing. These days, most men, everyone has, like, a lot of them have kids already. And
they have baggage. They have history and they have baggage. It's rare that you find a sister in your passage of life never married, no children, right?
Right.
And then you gotta think about that. The other, and who you mate with to have a child, that's a huge decision, because that person is going to be your partner for the rest of your life. Your children, they don't get 18 and go away.
Right.
So there's a partnership, but that's a serious ass decision. And it's best done with someone that you would like to marry. Many sisters have chosen to fulfill the need, the maternal need, and pick a guy that they think is halfway, has some common sense, or some brains, and just do it that way and take on the responsibility of the child. But it's much deeper than that.
Right.
So it's complicated, and it's personal.
Okay.
Right? And so maybe your baggage is that you're very outgoing, and maybe you intimidate the average brother, and the average brother isn't doing as well as the average woman. We're just not, for all the reasons you know.
Mm.
So, but there are core values that you're looking for in a man, and they have to be in place, or you should not decide. to commit the rest of your life to them. Right? And I'm not sure marriage is something you even experiment with. Right? You do all of that before you get married.
Right.
So, have you ever lived with a man?
Yeah, for a short period of time. Like,
Huh?
I lived with someone for about 9 months.
You lived with, and what happened?
He was having sex with many other women when he went to DR.
Oh, all right. So he wasn't faithful.
No, yes.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I get that. And then you actually found out about all of this?
Yes, because men are not the smartest, remember?
Yeah. See, that's how stupid he is. Right? Right. So you're right. You should have gotten rid of him. If he's having sex with a bunch of other women, and at the same time, he's so stupid to allow that to even be discovered. He's not discreet enough to do it in a way that respects you. Then you made the right decision.
Why, thank you.
Right? But yeah, but there was something you liked about him. You stayed with him for 9 months. Was it?
No, because we were together for overall like 7 years, and it was like my first love. So I mean, I think we like balance each other off in many different ways, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Even my personality, like, I'm very sarcastic, and not everyone can get that or understands that. So that's one of the things, was, like you said, someone to accept me for who I am, and even with me being funny or sarcastic or whatever. So it was a good balance at the time. But now he's suffering with his wife, so that's good. I find pleasure in that.
Did he get married?
He got married. I saw him recently. And every time they see, because I'm kind of part of the family, like his family, I used to live with them for a particular period of time when I came to America. So my godson is his godson also, and his mom is like my mom. One of those odd situations.
Oh, one of those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it just wasn't right for marriage.
No, it was no.
Right. So. But at least you had that experience. That's important.
Okay.
And so that gives you some experience and some wisdom and a knowledge base from which to make a better decision. That's all that's about.
Yeah, but okay. So I'll tell you one thing. Look, you're gonna be my therapist now. Okay. So the last 2 guys that I spoke to, right? So my last relationship in 2018, I decided, because sometimes we women like men to assume what we're thinking, right? We stand here and we get an attitude and we assume that you're supposed to know what we're thinking. So I said I didn't want to do that. Like you said, you have experience, you learn, you grow from it. So I would basically tell you what it is that I'm looking for, or if this is something you're willing to take on. And is either you say, oh, yes or no, or whatever the case might be. That's what it is. So I would have someone, the guy, 2018, he said, yes, he could do everything. He did whatever, and he was doing more. He was wonderful. But then I found out he was sleeping with prostitutes, right? Fine. Then the next guy, right?
Wait a minute. He was sleeping with a prostitute?
Many, right? And the thing is...
But was it, did you ask him, was it something about me that I could not?
No, he said it was nothing about me or whatever the case might. Apparently, he most likely was doing this way before.
Yeah, you can't have it.
Right. So because we went to like therapy and stuff like that, and it was like more of a macho thing, I guess. Right. So, and he was one of those people, if I did not find out about it, I could have lived a really good life without knowing anything, because he was like a really good provider, supporter, a really good person, besides knowing that extra stuff. All right. Fine. The last guy, I finally took a long break, 2 years break. I just doing my own thing, whatever the case might be. I used to speak to this guy back and forth like within 4 years, and I never gave him the time of day because he was always excessively busy, which is fine. I'm all for you going after your goals, but there's certain things that I need, a certain amount of time, whatever, love language, quality time, right? So this time around, he said he'll make the time, he'll do what's necessary, blah, blah, blah. So that's 4 years of saying no. I finally say yes, right? And then I'll give you an example. He only lives in New Jersey, but so I saw him once, twice, and then he's working. He does like construction or whatever the case might be, his small business or whatever. But my issue is we're going on 4 weeks and we haven't seen each other. Now, I'm all for completing your goal and your contracting thing, but as far as I'm concerned, if within 4 weeks you should see a girlfriend at some point in time, I'll support you. But even if you have to drive tired or whatever the case might be, if I need the quality time, you should have the quality time. And he's telling me I should be more understanding, and every week is an excuse. No, he's not cheating. For once, they're not cheating. But I am at the point where I say, well, these are the things that I want. So if I need to see you once a week, I don't think I'm asking that much. But he believe I'm asking too much and give him some more time. But I'm like, if I told you that this is what I wanted, what is the problem?
Right.
But right. I'm exhausted. So I just ended that because I felt like it was just going to be prolonging. And if you can't give it to me in the early supposed honeymoon stages, what's the purpose of staying 6 months, 7 months, 2 years, and then I'm going to see you twice a year?
Wow.
I'm telling George all my business.
So it didn't work.
Huh?
It didn't work.
No, but it's I think I'm just frustrated because I feel like I've learned so much. I'm supposedly doing the right thing by telling you what it is. Because if you tell me accordingly, then give me the choice to decide. Like you said, if I could hold the baggage, if I could run with it, if I could walk with it. But you're not giving me that choice because you're telling me all the things you think I want to hear. And then we're in it, and then you're not doing what you said you was going to do.
Yeah. Well, see, you did the right thing.
Right. I did the right thing.
Right. Yeah, you have to be personally responsible, and you have to do what you say you're going to do, period. Right?
Right. Okay.
And if you don't, that's a reflection of what's going to happen in the relationship. So yeah, you have the ultimate challenge, but you're not alone. Plenty of women, plenty of sisters complain about the same things, and they're just not that many good men. There isn't. That's why so many of our sisters are going to white guys.
Yes.
All right, I gotta go.
Okay. Nice talking to you. Come say bye.
Yes. Pleasure, George. I'm behind the scenes. But a very pleasure and honor, brother.
Thank you, man.
We'll keep in touch. I'll harass you with my emails.
Yes, and I'll see you at the Power Conference in Texas.
Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Later.
We're rich.
Yeah, wow, man. Made best
I
I was like, is he going to have a solution?